Treyarch is known for having some of the most consistent map designs in the Call of Duty franchise. Their maps aren't always great, but they tend to be more fast-paced, more straightforward than Infinity Ward's output, and a lot of COD players, they think that's a good thing. But does that mean you remember all their maps? Probably not. What's up, everybody? Chaos here. Today, I'm going to test your Call of Duty knowledge. I'm going to present to you 10 Treyarch maps that I'm pretty sure most of you probably forgot even existed. You let me know in the comments how many of these you actually remember playing on. Drop a like, and let's start off with Stockpile from Black Ops 1, released as part of the Escalation DLC pack. I remember it like it was yesterday. Stockpile was a map that was very visually similar to some of the launch BO1 maps, and that's part of the reason nobody remembers it. It was set in the middle of a Siberian town after a snowfall, so it did have that awesome Black Ops 1 vibe, but the layout was pretty basic. It wasn't that interesting to people who were actively playing Black Ops 1 because most of the other maps had better layouts or more unique themes at the time. On top of that, the DLC maps in these older CODs are always going to be at a disadvantage when it comes to remembering them because these were the days when you had to pay extra for the post-launch content, and the majority of the player base, they didn't do it. So some of you diehard Black Ops 1 players may remember Stockpile, but a lot of you might be seeing it for the first time in this video. At number 9, Elevation from Black Ops 4. Now, Black Ops 4 had a ton of great map remakes. Most of the originals were rather basic, and the community wasn't excited. Elevation was one of the first DLC maps released for Black Ops 4. Visually, it was stunning. It was set in a mountaintop village in Nepal and had some beautiful landscapes, but since nobody wanted to pay for Black Ops Pass at that time, and because it wasn't a very unique map on its own, most of the community forgot about it. I think I saw this map in a couple YouTube videos back when it came out, but aside from that, I hardly remembered it myself. I don't think I even remember when it actually came out. Before we move on, if you get anything from G2A, use code CHAOS. Do not forget, get yourself some cash back on whatever you're getting. The link is at the top of the description. At number 8, Breach from World at War. There have actually been multiple Treyarch maps called Breach, but most of you probably think of the Black Ops 3 version, but there's actually a different Breach from World at War released as DLC that had nothing to do with the later version. World at War's Breach was set in Berlin during the middle of a massive firefight, so there was a ton of awesome set pieces, and the authenticity was off the charts, just like almost every other World at War map, to be honest with you. But hardly anybody remembers this because it was released so late into World at War's life cycle and because it shared a similar theme as many of the other maps in the game. It wasn't bad, just didn't stand out to make it memorable enough for people who aren't playing the game 24/7, which is unfortunate. At number 7, Rift from Black Ops 3. Released as part of the Eclipse DLC pack, it was a map that I really can't tell you that much about because not only do I barely remember it, I hardly even understand the concept of the map. According to the game's description, Rift took place at a futuristic military facility above an active caldera, which that should have been awesome, but at this point in Black Ops 3's lifespan, most people were just focusing on the other DLC maps like Verge, Knockout, Spire. Rift was the weakest of the map pack. It was, and since it was yet another Call of Duty map set in a military facility, it kind of faded away into obscurity out of people's brains after they played it once or twice. This is nowhere close to being a COD Legacy map, and I don't even think the most diehard Black Ops 3 players would put it in their top 10. Heck, it's probably not in Black Ops 3's top 20. At number 6, Remnant from Black Ops 4. Released in July of 2019, it was set in the Museum of Unnatural History, which was actually pretty cool. I mean, too bad it absolutely wasn't very good because nobody played it because it was locked behind the Black Ops Pass. Back in the Black Ops 4 days, Activision decided to do away with individual map packs and instead force you to pay for the Season Pass, which was much harder to sell for most people. On top of that, Black Ops 4 had a pretty bad longevity problem with the multiplayer community, largely because of the other games out at the time, as well as good old-fashioned just franchise fatigue. So despite having an awesome concept, Remnant is almost completely forgotten. It's a remnant by the COD community, and that's a shame. I would love to see the concept revisited in the future, but I kind of doubt that's going to happen after the first attempt flopped so hard. Now we get into the top 5. Silo from Black Ops 1. Did you know this map was originally going to launch with the original Black Ops? However, time constraints during development pushed it all the way back to the Annihilation map pack in June of 2011. I'm not really sure what took them so long. Conceptually, the map was very similar to Launch, which many of you probably remember from the base game. In fact, I think that's the reason why they sat on it for so long. It's another 6v6 map set at a missile launch facility, but frankly, Launch is a better map in literally every way. Much like Launch, the rocket on Silo takes off every minute and a half, which is pretty cool, but since the two maps were so similar and one was so much more popular, everybody forgot Silo. At number 4, Echelon from Black Ops Cold War. Now, this map was released relatively recently, but something must have happened to the Cold War community because I did not hear a single peep about it. It was an awesome concept. It sent you to a broadcasting facility so you could see the numbers being broadcasted firsthand while also doing combat with hostile soldiers. Sounds cool. It was. Plus, it played in zombies mode via Onslaught, so you could really appreciate all the details. But how many of you actually have memories of this map? Maybe it was released so late into the lifespan. I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that it's visually kind of basic and simple compared to some of the more colorful and extravagant maps in the game. But I almost never hear anything about this map. I mean, am I alone in that? Maybe I just wasn't very tuned into the Cold War community. But yeah. At number 3, Deprogram from Black Ops Cold War. One more map that should have been more memorable. This is another one of those maps, and I'm sure it's going to get a handful of angry comments saying I should have remembered it, but I don't. Again, maybe it's just because I wasn't very into Black Ops Cold War, but I feel like I still remember most of the maps more than this one. Deprogram takes place in Adler's Conscience. Yeah, which is cool. There's a lot of Easter eggs in the audio, but did you even remember you could play this game in multiplayer? You could also play it in Zombies Onslaught, but a good chunk of the multiplayer community played it once, and then they set it down. It was released at a time when Cold War hype was low, and most people were just sticking to the various remakes that were added post-launch. Now, despite having an awesome concept, Deprogram it didn't stand out enough as a multiplayer map to keep people's attention. If you mention the Adler's Brain map from Black Ops Cold War, some players will remember bits and pieces, but nobody has solid memories, which I guess is a little ironic considering the theme and the setting of it, which is actually kind of funny. At number 2, Kowloon in Black Ops 1. Now, this is one of those maps that everybody remembers seeing on the map list, but not many people remember playing it. I personally do, though. You probably remember seeing the map in the trailer for the First Strike DLC, but do you remember anything about it? Set in the rooftops, actually pretty cool, had a handful of interactive set pieces, had a zip line, but did you play on it? Compared to the other First Strike maps, Kowloon was definitely the odd man out. I mean, it was up against Stadium, Discovery, even Berlin Wall. So it was never going to really hit the same heights of popularity, but then you had to remember, launch maps in Black Ops 1 were stellar, so hardly anybody was paying attention to this one after week 1. If you weren't playing Black Ops 1 back in the day, there's a 0% chance you remember Kowloon, and for that, it's getting the number 2 spot on today's list. And at number 1 today has to be Lair from Black Ops 4. It was released in September of 2019, less than 2 months before Modern Warfare came out, and I think that's probably your explanation as to why nobody remembers it. Black Ops 4 wasn't a bad game, but it wasn't very popular in the moment. Since hardly anybody actually bought the Black Ops Pass, hardly anybody was experiencing the DLC maps. Lair was one of the final pieces of DLC for Black Ops 4, and by the time it came out, everybody was already mentally checked out. I mean, how could you not be with Modern Warfare right around the corner? Before you say anything, you have to remember, we were all super excited for Modern Warfare before launch, despite how controversial it would become. Lair looked cool, played decent, but I'm willing to bet money none of you remember it. Nobody was keeping up with Black Ops 4's DLC this late in the game, and for that reason, I give Lair the number 1 spot. You may try to say you remember it, but we know you're lying, so don't worry about it. I'll see you guys soon.